Hi, everybody. It's Ben Ash from Sam Ash Music, and today I have the privilege to interview arguably one of my biggest guitar heroes, especially on acoustic guitar. He is known by many of you as having not only great skills on the acoustic guitar as far as finger tapping and percussion, and may have even set the way for how other acoustic guitar players play today. But you may have seen his very, very popular video, Passion Flower, on YouTube, which came out 10 years ago now, I'm thinking, and maybe longer, but it's racked up millions of views. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend checking it out because you will either give up on playing acoustic or you'll be more empowered to play just like him. He has four albums, excuse me: Hypertension, Don't Panic, Secrets Nobody Keeps, and The Faintest Idea. You can buy it all on his website at johngomm.com. Highly recommend buying it, but you can stream it on any music service. Uh, I've been a fan of him for years, so getting to talk with him now is such a privilege. Here he is, my new friend, Jonathan Gomm. John, how's it going? Hope that introduction was appropriate.
Yeah, I approve. Thanks, Ben. Cheers, mate.
Awesome. So we're here not only to talk about you and your greatness, but also to talk about all things playing, all things Blackstar Sonnet 60. And I also want to mention to everybody, if you are currently in the chat, please let us know all your questions. We want to ask all the questions you have. I found some of the questions that some of you have asked via the giveaway, which, by the way, we will announce a winner for the giveaway at the end of the stream. So definitely stick around for that. If you're not here, that's fine. You can we'll still contact you, but it's always nice to see who won when we announce it. So that being said, let's get to it. So, John, first of all, how's everything?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah, thanks. It's cold. Cold January here in the UK, and things are still a little bit crazy, but hopefully feeling kind of optimistic about kind of the future in terms of world events. Over here, people are feeling pretty optimistic, so hopefully, 2022 might be better than the previous year for the first time in a long time.
Man, let's hope. Really, I hope so. And so I've been optimistic. Luckily, there are still people who are at least visiting our stores. I understand with the fears of Omicron and everything else. We appreciate anyone who buys however they want to buy from Sam Ash Music. But at least people are doing the right thing and things are hopefully getting back to normal.
Yeah.
So on a lighter note, though, you've got the Sonnet 60 there. How long have you had this amp? Let's talk about the amp.
Oh, I've had it for a few years. I can't remember. I've had it since just before they came out, because I helped to develop it a little bit. And yeah, so it's just a completely different kind of amplifier experience for me in my life, thankfully, and has kind of changed the way I think about acoustic amps, which sounds really like a marketing tagline, and it's just the truth. So, yeah, I'm happy to talk about it as much as
I mean, man, whatever
people want to
works.
hear.
That's what it's about. So, that being said, um, let me ask you some questions first of all, because I'm just very curious as a fan. The first one I was wondering was, what made you approach? Because you tap on the guitar both
Uh-huh.
on the fretboard and on the body. You scrape, you play with the tuning pegs, and you do anything that is physically on the guitar besides removing bridge pins while you play. You pretty much have done on the guitar. So what I'm curious is, what made you approach your style of guitar playing as opposed to the more common strumming or finger picking styles that 99.9% of guitar players do? And when doing these different methods, how do you choose which ones to do as far as techniques when playing certain songs? Like, what makes you decide, okay, this is the part where I do the tuning machine winding part, and this is where I scrape or scratch, or I do percussive stuff
Uh-huh.
while playing with the fretboard?
Okay, so I guess the reason that I have all those techniques that appeal to me so much is I just have a very very short attention span, and I get bored really really quickly. And whenever I see something new that I haven't seen before, I get really really excited by it. So I can remember the first time I saw somebody playing slide guitar, which obviously is not some new fancy idea, but it was to me when I was, I guess, 10 years old, and I'd never seen anybody do it before, and I then had to go and buy a slide. I've still got the exact same one. And yeah, so anytime I saw something new, I had to do it. And also another thing for me is that playing electric guitar kind of can feel really like you can make a lot of noise with a band and stuff. But with acoustic guitar as a solo artist, with a traditional playing style, it can feel like kind of a small sound. And there are a couple of guitarists that I heard, the most important one being Michael Hedges. But there's an English guy called Nick Harper as well. And they have this kind of huge, big kind of sound, like all the bottom end and all the treble as well. And then if I can add percussion to that as well, so I can have bass lines and then add drums. Such a big, huge kind of noise. It's just incredibly satisfying to play, and when I'm playing in a venue and I hear all these this sound emerging, and it's just all me, that's making every one of those noises. It's incredibly, it feels really full and big, and just, I don't know, kind of have that one-man orchestra kind of thing, and it's not really an orchestra, but it feels good.
So I have to ask, am I hearing chorus, or is that just naturally how your guitar sounds?
Chorus, did you say? You're hearing
yes.
Chorus effect. Right now I have a modulated reverb on the strings of the guitar. I never use like a direct chorus sound on anything. I don't like things being modulated, the actual kind of direct sound being modulated. I'll always use it on the effects themselves. So if I have like a delay, then I don't know if I have a delay right now in this setting. I have to find one, but that would be a bit modulated. And there's two reverbs running right now, and then I can kind of add this sparkly.
Oh, that's cool. That sounds awesome.
As well. So I have loads of things going on. I don't kind of have the standard pedals that people are probably thinking right now. Oh, he's got that pedal. Believe me, whatever you're thinking, I don't have that, unless you know what my stuff is. I don't have that. I have something else. But it's so it's, you're not hearing chorus directly. You're just hearing modulated reverbs and too many delays and different reverbs all mushing together.
Well, it all works great, clearly, from how it sounds. Speaking of songwriting, when you create songs, and this is almost a question that I would ask regardless, do you approach it from a jamming perspective, like you're just noodling around and then something just magically comes? Or is it just
rarely, very rarely do I do that. But it does happen. I'm trying to do it a little bit more at the moment, and the stuff that I'm writing at the moment is a little bit more like that. So it's a bit more kind of just letting stuff happen naturally. But over the past kind of however many freaking decades I've been doing this, I tend to write quite meticulously. You know what? You asked me a question about when I use the different techniques as well, which I didn't actually answer. So this is kind of a similar question. So for example, let me think. So I have this song where I might the chorus of this song. Every song I play is in a different tuning, so I'm thinking what tuning I'm in as well. But I have this. So what's happening there is I'm strumming a little chord, and then I've got a bit of drums, then I have a little melody with a tuning peg, and then a little bit more drums, and I kind of switch the chord using the bass. And that all came about because it follows the melody that I'm actually singing at the same time. So my guitar part is harmonizing the vocal, which is. And then I figured I can add an ostinato in there as well. it's kind of all meticulously built and constructed around a song that I've written with a melody and just a vague idea of chords. And I try and think, how can I orchestrate that with the guitar so I can do different things? Like maybe I want to have a harmony for the vocal melody, like I did there. Maybe I want to have bass. Maybe I want a little bit of percussion. So it's a cool way to write for me. So I'll tend to write songs first, which will be a vocal melody, maybe lyrics and stuff. And then it's almost like I then go to the guitar player and say, right, can we arrange this now for guitar and vocal? And that way I can get as nuts as I like with the guitar part. And hopefully, because I wrote the song first, it never sounds like it's a technical exercise or whatever. It always is in service of the melody or whatever other kind of musical moods I'm trying to create with different sounds. So yeah, it's just like an arrangement. So it's like two people. There's the songwriter, and then there's the just ridiculously overly show-offy guitarist as well.
Well,
I hope that explains.
well, don't worry. You're not overly showy if you're actually making it sound good. So
Sure,
there's no
yeah,
worries
sure,
in
but
that realm.
it is an issue. I mean, people do often complain that it's very technical guitarists, either electric or acoustic. Maybe they sound like they are playing technique rather than music. That's a complaint that people make. Where I love listening to super technical guitar playing anyway, just for its
Oh,
own
you and I
sake.
both.
So it's not something that I'm really concerned about. And it's the thing that kind of it's so there's quite a few of us kind of technical fingerstyle guitarists of my generation, and it's funny how many of us have a background in like playing really technical electric guitar. So I was really into Satriani and Vi when I was a kid.
Dude,
And
you're speaking my
you know,
language. Like, I love those
yeah,
guys.
I love them too. And so Joe Satriani is somebody who's known as like one of the greatest guitar players in the world, but it bugs me. It really, really bugs me that he's not known as being this incredibly innovative composer with unbelievably beautiful songs and tunes, and that that
That
really
being said,
grinds my gears. So
that
I
being
wish he was,
said,
because he's a genius.
I'm going to look at all of you. If you're watching this and you've never heard of Joe Satriani or
Oh
Steve
God,
Vai, if you've
no,
never listened to their music,
no.
after this, not during this, but after this, I implore you all, do some homework and listen to, at the very least, Joe Satriani's Surfing with the Alien and
You
Steve
know
Vai's
what?
Passion and Warfare.
If
At the
anybody
very
there is
least.
a fan, is watching this, because sorry, Bun, if anybody's watching this because they're a fan of mine, then the album that I would send them to, that they might think, oh, wait a minute, I can kind of hear some of Jon's ideas in that, would be actually his first album, which is called Not of This Earth.
Oh,
And
okay.
so go to that one and check that out and listen to the amazing, beautiful tunes, and also some of the kind of really progressive compositional weirdness. I mean, there's one track on that album where he invented his own scale, and that's something that I do. I'll sometimes just think, what mode would sound good here, and I'll go, none. I'm just going to make up my own.
I mean, it's the two of them are great. And honestly, when I heard your stuff, I was the guy who was just either doing chords or playing electric lead on a guitar. And then I went, oh, acoustic guitar can actually be insanely cool, because you have to remember the only time, this is dating me, but we're talking about 2004, 5. YouTube isn't out yet. It's only anyone who uploaded to their own site, or if you bought an album from iTunes and or in the store. So the only acoustic the guitars that my dad put me onto at the time that were mainstream were Tommy Emmanuel. There was, like you said, Michael Hedges.
Uh-huh.
And so that's when I was like, oh, you can really do something with this instrument. So there's something that's really cool about now that people can see musicians like you and others that are taking the acoustic guitar to totally different paths, which is incredible. Um, Speaking of which, so we're talking about songwriting, and what I'm curious is, seeing as you've had this amp, the Sonnet 60, for a few years,
Uh-huh.
um, has it influenced your songwriting in any way, that now that you're playing through this, that either it makes you want to write more, or your approach to songwriting is different? Anything in that regard?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it in terms of it affecting my writing. That's weird. I mean, anything that improves your sound does that. So what it's changed for me is the fact that I can play at home and plug in my guitar, which I never used to do. So sometimes I'd rehearse through headphones, because if you've got gigs, you can't just play acoustically, and I need to rehearse with my pedal board and stuff. So I need to have monitors of some kind. So I'd use like headphones, or sometimes I'd use my studio monitors, but that's kind of a weird setup. But I would never use an acoustic amp at home because they just didn't work for me. So since having this one, it's like I've got my little tiny beautiful audiophile PA system in my house, and I like the little one, so it's the Sonnet 60 as opposed to the 120, and I will generally use two. I have two of these, so I can set it up as like this little stereo PA system at home. And so it means that when I'm playing and I'm plugged in, I can kind of make sounds that will then inspire me to do something, and that happens. So I'll be playing and just come up with like a sound or a chord or like, and it's okay now. And it's quite often that I find myself writing riffs and stuff while I'm amplified, as opposed to before when I would always do everything completely acoustically and then add all the amplification and effects ideas afterwards. So yeah, it's changed it in that way for sure.
I gotta say, what's crazy about what we're talking about is if someone's in another room listening to someone else watching this video, you probably would think that you're playing out of an amplifier the size of a refrigerator because it is so big and loud. This little guy, and it's no insult at all to Blackstar. If anything, it's incredibly impressive. Your hand is covering about half of that amplifier. Like, look at that. That
tiny
small little thing is bombastic in tone.
And now they should go and look at the price as well, because they're going to go, oh, that's not what I was expecting.
Yeah, it's
I'm not even going to tell you if that's in a good way or a bad way. You'll just find out. Just go and look. But I'm not even. I don't get any commission. I wish I. I should. What am I doing? What am I saying? I don't get a commission, but I just really love it, and I help them with the design, and it's been really really cool working with them. But honestly, it's amazing. So I have tried using acoustic amps in the past, and I've struggled so hard because one thing that they all tend to do is they have really 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 powerful compressors built into them. So if you plug an electric guitar, an acoustic guitar into an amplifier, the dynamic range of an acoustic instrument is huge compared to an electric guitar with its tiny little magnetic pickup signal, which is just so minuscule. This thing is loud and it has like these big noises. And if I plug into another acoustic guitar amp, even very very expensive, highly thought of brands, as soon as I do this, it'll just squish down the sound. And I don't know if you have this in the States, but when I used to play in like pub gigs in bars and stuff, sometimes they have a sound limiter. So if they've got neighbors who complain about the noise, and when you play a loud chord, it puts this limiter on it and it squishes everything down, and suddenly everything goes whoop, and comes back again, and it's a really weird sound. And that's what all these other amps did to me. So if you're strumming chords or playing fingerstyle and nothing else, it's cool. But if you want to play percussive guitar, or indeed if you wanted to do anything else like play cajon through here or beatbox through here,
I didn't even think of that.
Anything else that you want to do that's more dynamic, this does have compression. But Paul, who designed it, and we had a chat about what the problems were, and he said, okay, I think I can fix that, and he put 2 stages of compression on, and it's magical. You can't even hear that it's there. But the reason you have to have this compression is because otherwise this big sound would just break the speaker straight away.
Yeah,
so you have to have like this compression on there, but he's done it in such a way that you can't hear it. And then it's like this full range. Normally, if I play a kick drum through a little amp like this, my kick drum lives like 50 hertz and below. I don't hear anything. You just don't get any sound. Or this low bass, I wouldn't get anything. But with this thing, it's got like a sound, a ported cabinet, so it's got a bass port in the side, and the bass that comes out of there is just so low and lovely. It's just great.
So speaking of which, because you were saying people should maybe figure out the price of this and etc., I'm gonna let people not have to guess because we've got it right here. So sorry, random fake stock photo, you're gonna go away for a sec, but I mean, look at that. It's only, I sound like I'm like on QVC or one of those shows. Like, it's only $429.99 if you buy it right now. But in all seriousness, this thing I mean, it's really a steal for what it does. And I actually had a
Mm.
question because, I mean, this is it. It's a one speaker. You got a little tweeter kind of thing going on. Are
Yeah, yeah.
you, because it's USB audio and it's mixed DI. Which one of the two are you doing right now?
So you're getting sound from I've got it DI'd, and then you've got sound coming in. So this is a condenser mic. So there's sound coming in here as well. So you're getting both. And
Okay.
so yeah, it's basically you're hearing like a mic'd sound. It's not a perfect mic sound because you want to mic it a little bit closer than it is, but it's getting quite a lot. And also, yeah, the DI is so the USB output. It's you can split the channels, so you can have whatever you've got in the two channels. In my case, I've actually got left and right, which is a bit weird. But most people might have guitar in one channel and vocal in the other channel. So I have my vocal and guitar already mixed together, and then it goes into left, right here. And so, yeah, and you get those as split signals into your, into your DAW or whatever you're connecting your USB to. So it's basically like a little audio interface, really, as well.
I mean,
Quite cool.
sorry, I'm just trying to fix the windows. But yeah, the fact that you're not limited to options. You can either do this acoustically, you could do this DI, you could do this as an interface. I mean, that's the best thing. If you're an acoustic electric guitar player and you're plugged into this and you just want to record some great sounding audio from your acoustic guitar, that's it. You basically just need a computer, this, and your guitar, and a cable.
Or for example, if you're streaming like we are right now, then you can plug into your amp and also have your audio signal for the stream coming from the amp. So you don't need to think about how am I going to monitor myself and all that kind of malarkey.
Right.
It makes things a lot simpler. So there's loads of applications for it. Or
right.
I've used it when I've been recording. So I sometimes use this. So the gigs I play are generally, touch wood, still too big for me to use this as like, this isn't gonna be the main amplification on the gig. I have used it a couple of times when I've done tiny little secret little events. I've used it as the only sound source for the gig. But usually I'll be using this as a monitor on stage rather than using the house monitors. And it means that I can take a USB feed from that and record the gig really easily. So there's loads of different applications for that, yeah.
That's very cool because this is no insult to any other manufacturer. There's some great acoustic guitar amps, but as far as today's generation, some of the feature sets for this, even I'm guilty of wanting this because, and this is not because I'm doing this. I play acoustic guitar. I don't have one behind me at the moment, but to have something that if I wanted a live stream, have a monitor, so I'm not wearing headphones in the middle of a computer thing, that really shows me and my technological prowess. But I mean, it is fantastic. But one of the things that was brought to my attention, and I think it's going to make people go, oh, now I definitely need this. If you're a recording musician, from what I understand is not only can you record into your interface via this amp with your vocals and your guitar, but that it splits it into separate tracks. So you're not dealing with one track that's guitar and vocals that you're like, all right, I just got to EQ this as best as I can. You can EQ just the vocals and just the guitar. And then you have two separate tracks that you can then mix out and make into one track, which is, to me, it's such a game changer because I'm always doing the two mic setup. And then there might be some bleed. This is no, you can point your amp totally in a different direction so you don't get the bleed, record your vocals while playing the guitar, and then voila.
Yeah, it's just it just makes things really, really easy if you want to do something like that. Yeah, it's really good. Or if you want to record a stream for later use or anything like that, it's cool.
So forgive me if you've already touched upon it, but I just want to highlight this. When you were developing this amplifier, and by the way, it should be noted, if you didn't know, John was part of the team that was influencing how this amp would be made. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right, yeah. I mean, I can't design an amplifier. I don't want to put that out there. I don't know how to make an amplifier.
But you gave input as far as what you would like to get out of it.
So this is what's wrong with acoustic amplifiers. That's sonically, and please make something better than that. And then some testing. So the first time I saw a Blackstar Sonnet, it was just like a what's it called, a PCB, like a circuit board.
Yeah.
With with loads of very scary looking cables coming out of it, and then going into like a box with it was a 3D printed cabinet.
That's cool.
With speakers and stuff in Blackstar's laboratory, I'm gonna call it, in Milton Keynes. God, I've forgotten where it is now, but in the UK, in Amp Central down in Milton Keynes, where the amp companies live. And it was really, really exciting. And it's physics, it's physics, and it was fascinating for me to learn about it. So do you want to hear my coolest thing that I learned about? So when Paul, who's the head of this project anyway, and is a genius amp designer, went to check on the first batch of manufacturing, or maybe it was a prototype. So what they do is they fill the box with smoke. I don't know what kind of smoke. And knowing Paul, it could be something very interesting. But anyway, they fill it with smoke, and then they make a sound come through it, and then the smoke comes out through the bass port. In mine, it's in the side because it's a prototype, but they're usually in the front. But anyway, so it comes out through the bass port. But there's any other smoke appears from somewhere else, then the build quality is not good enough, because it needs to be completely sealed for the bass to work.
That is both so weird and so cool. I didn't know they
just like that. puffs of smoke coming out of the bass port, like Gandalf. I just think it's really cool.
You shall not pass. I just did a marathon of those movies with my wife, and I'm reading the first book, so you're in my wheelhouse right now with Gandalf being referenced.
Okay, I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, and so I forgive me. What were those? And we were not going to mention brands or products, but in other amplifiers, what was something that was lacking or not good per se for you that you told the Blackstar team, "Hey, I've seen these problems with previous amps. Can you make it better with this one?"
Yeah. So the main things were the compression problems, the dynamic range, and then the other thing is the frequency spectrum. So most amps will cut out. So they'll cut out like below 100 hertz, maybe 80 hertz if you're lucky. So they sound like they've got nice bass until you actually play something low. So if you were to try and play like a double bass, or have like a nice acoustic fretless bass, kind of semi-acoustic guitar, and if you try and play that through most acoustic amps, then it's not going to sound great, whereas this one goes all the way down. So those are the two main things. And then it's having nice reverbs is a really important thing as well. So rather than sticking loads and loads of effects in there that nobody in their right mind is ever going to use, like you were talking about chorus earlier. So I can't imagine who is putting chorus on their vocals and guitar through their acoustic amp, but there's loads of acoustic amps that have got chorus on both channels, and you just turn it, it's just one knob, you turn it up, it comes on both channels. And if you are that person who's out there putting chorus on your vocals and guitar, I mean, either you're doing something that's really fascinating that I want to hear, but more likely, just please turn it off. So it has really nice reverbs, and it has really great EQ. So one very expensive brand of acoustic amplifier that was kind of a one that we tested against, because it was interesting. We did a load of testing with that, and we found out that the mid-range knob, so it has low, mid, and high knobs, for your EQ, gave you a total range of 4 decibels, plus and minus. Oh, it's 4 and minus, plus and minus just over 2 dB. So 4 dB in total, and that's all they gave you. It was like they were saying, no, you may not change the sound of this amplifier, no matter what you want. So,
yeah, believe me, when you're, it feels crappy when you're limited to what you want. In your head you want, and the gear is just like, nope. It's almost like playing a video game and you're like, you can't get past this level until you buy some DLC. You got to buy more coins to get to the next level. It's like,
nobody wants that.
I want the game to be good on its own. I don't want to buy more things after. And so
as it happens, I actually have the EQ flat, which is a very strange sentence for me to say, because normally my EQs are crazy on everything that I ever do to get the sound that I want. But in this case, the EQ is flat, but I do like, it has a scoop button. I forgot what it's called. Shape. It has a shape button, which gives it a little kind of slight smiley face kind of graphic sound. So it's a little bit boosted at the bottom and the top, maybe a tiny bit lower in the middle. And I like that. I like that button. So that one's pressed. But actually the low, mid, and high I don't use. But if you do need them or want them, then there's a huge amount of range there to go with. So basically, the reason I don't need them is because this thing actually sounds like what you put into it. which again is quite unusual with with amplifiers. It really sounds like pretty much exactly what you put in is exactly what comes out. So I don't actually need to EQ it, but because what I'm sending is hopefully a nice sound, that's why I don't need to. But if you're sending something where you don't actually totally love the sound of your acoustic guitar, and you do want to change the sound of the guitar a little bit because maybe you don't love your pickup that much, then you can do that. It's got loads and loads of play. And also, I would normally EQ my vocal a lot, but it's already EQ'd on my pedal board, so I don't need to do it in there. But most people would probably want to be able to EQ their vocal quite a lot, and there's plenty of scope to do that in here. So yeah, that's another thing. Also, it has a little kickstand. This was what they came up with, which I really like. So it has like a little foot in the bottom. So I don't know if you can see, but it's raised up slightly right now. It's not flat. I
think the mic is just blocking it, like the end of the mic. It's okay. Don't like if you have to lift it or. And then your headstock.
I can't move it. It's always in the way. I've set that up really well.
I actually have a good example of this. So
okay, now you can. Okay, maybe it's not even not bright enough. But it's raised up at the front, so it's slightly angled. So it has a kind of kickstand thing. So you can angle it up a little bit, which is really, really cool. Especially if you've got to put it on the floor. Which some people are going to have to do so that your audience can still hear it and you can still hear it. It's not just
there's an example
ankles.
Yeah, if you check out Blackstar also has the acoustic core, which is that's actually exactly what it looks like. So there's a way that right there it has a way so you can, like you just said, angle it, but it's also a feature on the amp you have. So
what's really cool about this one, which is really, really clever, is because they, instead of using a kickstand at the back, which flicks out or something, like you get on some tablets, like some like iPad type things have a kickstand on the back. It's actually underneath and it screws in, but you can actually screw it all the way out, and you can use that hole to put it on a mic stand, or if you can get a little converter and put it on a speaker stand, because speaker stands are much fatter than mic stands.
That's cool as hell. You can
just stick this straight on a mic stand. It's cool.
Yeah, so you can really awesome. If you're standing and you want to hear it right in front of your face, you can do that. That's amazing. So
this means that if you're using it as a PA, so this is the thing that I've done before, you can definitely do a gig with one of these, especially if you just have one of these, then a small gig. If you have two like me, or if you get the 120 watt version, which is twice as powerful as this one, then you can definitely do a gig in a small place. But you don't want to put it on the floor or just on a chair or something. You probably want to get it on a stand like you would have your PA speakers, so it's raised up to pretty much head height. Otherwise, people aren't going to be able to hear you very well. So yeah, having that thing in there so you can just put it onto a mic stand is absolutely ingenious. I think it was Dan at Blackstar, or maybe Alex at Blackstar, who came up with that idea, and it's just like really satisfyingly ingenious idea.
Yeah, people are blown away. They're like, you could put the Sonnet 60 on a mic stand?
Yeah.
People are losing their minds right now.
Well, they're really. I like
that was the feature. Just that you could put it on a mic stand. The rest is all bonus material, but you could put it on a mic stand. Sold. So I wanted to make sure we actually, before we get to some, I have two more questions, and then we're gonna get to some customer questions.
Okay, cool.
First of all, who do you think are the acoustic guitar players that would benefit most from this amplifier?
Just the ones who sound bad.
Just bad sounding musicians can.
Just bad sounding musicians.
So me
sound better.
So I can benefit.
Should I name names? No, imagine. Oh my god, imagine.
Only Sonnet 60 for John Gomm. John Gomm's the only guy who can play a Sonnet 60.
Yeah, no, nobody should buy it except me as well, because otherwise you'll sound good. But no, it's yeah, I don't know. So particularly anybody who needs a full ranging, anybody who has a really dynamic sound of whatever instrument they play, to be honest, or anybody who wants a really full dynamic range. So another thing that I used this for the other day is I got my first new electric guitar for the first time in 20 years.
Wow.
And I haven't told anybody yet, but I got a new electric guitar, and
that's out of the bag.
But I don't have an amp. So I'm the opposite guy. I don't have an electric guitar amp. I used to have one, and then I just never played electric guitar anymore. So I gave it to a charity actually, and I don't like electric guitar amps that much. They were always used to drive me mad when I used to play electric guitar. Just so clumsy sounding and so like they just wanted to be loud no matter what you did. You can't like turn it down. So anyway, I got a little pedal that has amp simulators and impulse response stuff in it to plug it in and effects. And then what people want these days is, we're supposed to buy full range speaker cabinets or full range amps to plug it into, rather than just plugging your lovely expensive amp simulator device into your regular electric guitar amp, because then that's going to mess up the sound of the impulse responses and it's going to mess up all your lovely reverbs. So I used this as the full range speaker for my electric guitar, and it sounds amazing. So there's anybody who just wants a super full range amplifier, really.
Perfect. Ooh.
How did you do that?
So I seem to be having some issues with my camera because I just look like I'm staring blankly.
Have you frozen?
Yeah, apparently. Don't know how that happened. So I'm trying to figure that out.
I'm moving right now.
I guess with my frozen face, I will ask another question while you answer it, I'll see if I can figure this out.
Okay, just leave it with me, man. In fact, just interrupt me when you fixed it or given up, and I'll stop. But I'll just
no problem.
I can entertain these people. It's no problem.
So you mentioned you've actually been to a Sam Ash Music, although you are across the pond, and I'm curious.
Yeah, man.
What was that? Hopefully, it was a good experience. But what was that experience like? What brought you to our store?
You know that place that burned down. That was no. I'm joking. So what happened was, I was on holiday with my dad, and we did this kind of pilgrimage to Chicago as blues fans, and wanted to go and see like loads of blues gigs. Anyway, I really wanted to go to a guitar store while I was in the States. So this would be 1999, the year that is. I know it's a different century. And anyway, so in Chicago, I found out there's a Sam Ash, but I didn't realize that it's not actually in Chicago. You have to kind of leave the city, and we didn't have a car. So we got the bus, and the bus dropped us off. It went down the kind of, I don't know what you call these roads, like down the highway, like an interstate kind of thing. And it was about 10 lanes of fast moving traffic. And anyway, it dropped us off at this, the bus stopped at this kind of, mall, out of town mall complex. But unfortunately the Sam Ash was on the other side of the freeway. And, so I just had to cross the freeway on foot and dodging traffic, which was very scary, and my dad as well. But we're crazy. We did it. And then when we got in there, I found the acoustic department, which was huge, and it was bigger than pretty much any guitar store that I've been into. Just the acoustic section was bigger than any whole store. And I was playing away, and I was doing some like of my tapping-y, playing a bit of But anyway, it's I'll change it. So I was tapping away, and somebody was like, "Oh, there's this guy who worked there." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And we got talking about music and stuff. And then he told me he had a gig that a couple of nights later in Chicago downtown. So I went to this gig, and I think my dad did something else. So I just went to this gig on my own, and I would have been like, late teens, early 20s, I can't remember. And so turns out this gig was on the south side of Chicago, and I kind of walked into this venue, and like there was a pool table, and I remember everyone just turned to look at me, and it was almost as if the balls stopped rolling on the table, and I was like, didn't really get why everyone was looking at me. And then I might be the only white person in here. So anyway, but so I was an unexpected attendee in this south side joint, and I had the most amazing night. I was on stage jamming with this Sam Ash employee. So yeah, it was just really, really cool, and I never will forget that experience. It was awesome. So now I'm the right tune.
goodness I have at least another
You're fixed.
webcam. It's not ideal, but it'll
You look
do.
beautiful, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry, everybody, that, oh boy, and that light is way less flattering. Makes me look like I haven't seen the sun in 10 years.
To be honest, you just look like Billy Corgan with that light.
I've gotten, it's actually funny. I did this video for Sam Ash Music where it was a joke on, hey, I'm Ben Ash and I'm here to show you all the different Halloween costumes you can do. And it was just me changing my glasses and beard. And I was saying I was either Chris Daughtry, David Draymond from Disturbed, Billy Corgan. What were the other ones? Joe Satriani,
Nice.
Jordan Rudess. It basically was just my bald head, and then I'd have a different pair of glasses or a beard. It was the dumbest video I've ever done. But
I'm
Billy
old enough
Corgan
to remember Billy Corgan having hair, so it wasn't a bald prejudice.
No, dude,
It
if
might-
you've
it
seen my
might have
dad,
been what I was thinking.
this is the new Ash look. Bald
Love
is
it.
in, guys.
Love it.
Bald is in. Bald is in. Yeah. So, sorry that the camera just wonked out for that. I do apologize, but that is still a great story. I was still listening, and haven't been to Chicago in so long, and I've been meaning to. But okay, so
Is the store still there?
oh yeah,
As far as you know, yeah.
we've
So
got the store
it
there.
is like this big out of town store. You know, I just figured it would just be in Chicago somewhere, and I could just get the bus. But then the bus kind of left the city, and I was like, oh, right, okay, where are we going here? But yeah, it was amazing. It was an amazing store. Like just playing all these guitars that I'd never had access to before, and the sheet music. Oh my god! I still have books on my shelf up there. I can't turn my camera around and show you because my feed will explode. But
I am a dork for sheet
a couple
music.
of books that I bought that day. I still have them. Yeah, I bought a book. I remember even which one it was because I don't forget stuff. I forget everything, but stuff like that I don't forget. I bought a book of chords in alternate tunings on guitar, so it had all different chord boxes and chord names, but in different tunings. And all that book actually taught me was that is not how to use alternate tunings, but nonetheless, that is a very, 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 well, for me personally, that's not how to use alternate tunings. That's a very, very important lesson, which was well worth the cost of the book. And I have, for some reason, kept it. I just struggle to part with music books. They're too important. So, yeah. But
So, no, it's awesome. I'm a sheet music dork myself. So let's get into some questions. I'll take some from the chat in a bit, but there were some that people entered during the giveaway. Let's get into those. So
Cool.
Josie from San Antonio asks, does the JGM5 have a solid, he wrote it weird, solid back and sides, like the JGM10? So for those that don't know, these are Ibanez guitars that John Gomm has as signature models. So basically the question is, what's the difference?
Yeah, so because that is, this is a really, when you look at them, they look so similar, and they have the same pickup system. When you plug them in, they kind of sound the same. So, well, maybe not the same. They sound very, very similar, but one is half the price of the other. So, quite common question is, what is actually the difference? So, yeah, on the JGM5, the back and sides are, I think, a 2-ply laminate, but don't count the plies and then complain. But it's something like that. So they aren't solid. But actually, this is a thing with acoustic guitars. A lot of the top luthiers in the world do not use solid. Well, solid. They're still solid, but they will deliberately laminate the back and particularly the sides of the guitar because it gives them more rigidity. So when people are changing tunings, it doesn't the guitar doesn't move so much and change key, basically. And then with the back of the guitar, the point of the back of the guitar is just to reflect the sound outwards. Some luthiers will kind of, theoretically tell you that the best substance that you could have for the back of a guitar will be solid concrete, theoretically. So it really bounces all the sound out. So it's not that big a deal. Other differences are kind of like technical stuff. Some of the hardware is different, and I can't remember what woods are used for, like the bridge, and it's so inside here it has a torrefied top, which is a thermo-aged soundboard top, and also the bracing is thermo-aged, so that means that they cook the wood for quite a long time at a very, very high temperature, so it basically makes it act as if it's like 10, even 20-year old piece of wood, and it's amazing the difference it makes to the sound. And so on the 10 you get that. but not on the 5. So basically, the 5, when you plug it in, it's going to sound incredibly similar, again, for half the price, to the 10, because the pickup system is the same, even though it's a very expensive pickup system, which costs us a lot of money to put in. But but when you play them side by side unplugged, then I can totally tell the difference. But I still love the 5 as well. So yeah, so that's because this is my signature model Ibanez, which I'm very, very, very proud of, and we need to do a stream about that soon, Ben. I think that'll be cool. Oh, I think I've lost your audio. I can see you moving.
There we go. I put it on mute because I fixed the camera, but I didn't want to interrupt your talking with like knocking and all that stuff. So I got the camera working again.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, Ibanez, awesome. If anyone from your company is watching, I know this is Blackstar, and sorry for hijacking this for a second, Blackstar. I do apologize, but maybe we can talk about the guitar, and we can always mention the Sonnet 60 in that live stream as well. Just saying. Anyway, let's move on. We've got another question from, forgive me if it's Heiko or Heiko S. from Schwarzenbruck, Germany. What is your current setup beside the Ibanez? Amp and amp setup, effects, etc. What is your setup when you either live or in studio?
You know what? I need to figure out a way that I can switch between cameras. I could really easily do that, but I won't do it right now because I'll break everything. But yeah, so down here on the floor, I have my pedal board. You know what? I spent a long time the past few months trying to figure out something to use that's better, and I can't. So yeah, I really, really love this pedal board. And I just was lucky enough to do a tour in the UK during the hiatus between Delta and Omicron. So it's just sounding, I really love it. So I have a little mixer on the board. So what that does is it mixes there's 3 guitar pickups inside here, which is a standard thing.
3?
And they come out. There's 3, and then they come out. They have little blend wheels inside, and they come out through. There's 2 jack sockets. One is mono and one is stereo, so you can get 3 separate signals. You don't have to do that if you just plug in one regular mono guitar lead into this socket here. Then it will just give you a mixture of all 3 pickups, and you can blend it with the little controls inside the guitar that very easy to reach. And anyway, yes, there's a mic, a humbucker, like a magnetic humbucker, and there's also a transducer on the bridge plate. So I blend those together, and but I have them outputted down 3 separate lines effectively, and they come into my little mixer on my board, which is a Motu ultralight interface mixer, which is a digital mixer. I can control my mix from my phone using their browser app. And I have a Boss OC pedal. If you've got subs on right now, you can hear the difference.
OC2?
So mine's an OC5. I don't know what I just said, but this is an OC5. It's the latest version, and I use the polyphonic setting. So when I kick it in, it might be hard to hear that. I'll turn it up.
We heard the switch, I think.
So that gives me extra bottom end to my tone. It's like having the world's most boring bass player just follow around your bottom notes. And then I have my beautiful Zoom multi-stomp, which I love, and people ignore it because they think it's too cheap, I think. But basically, it's got basically very, I don't know what the correct terminology is for this, but it has homages to other very famous effects inside it. So right now I have a mangled space, or a black, not a black hole, but just a black void.
Sorry, I bent down. Are you talking about this guy?
Is that a MS? Which one is
that?
Oh,
I have the Bluetooth. I'm not necessarily.
Oh yeah, so that is what I have. They don't make that one anymore, but yeah, the BT100, yeah.
Yeah, I have this. I use it for very specific effects, but we haven't sold this in ages, honestly. But they make some good stuff.
I love this pedal because it's just, I've got one pedal on my board, and I can have like an amp simulator. I can have like overdrive sounds, and it's just one single stomper, but I can layer it up with like reverbs, delays, overdrives. It's not got a huge amount of DSP, so once you've got 2 or 3 quite high demand like effects in a row, you can't really add any more.
Yeah, nowadays
but anyway,
you can Like they've so much, like the DSP levels are now so much better that on modern effects you can do like 27. I don't know why that's such a random number, but
it's a tremendous pedal. But so that is just on one of my pickups, and then I go into a TC Helicon Voice Live, which has reverbs and delays on my vocal and the guitar and mixes everything together, and then it goes to the amp or amps. So yeah, it's kind of a complex setup, but it's basically only three pedals and a mixer. So it's the OC5, the Boss, the Zoom Multi-Stomp, which is a just awesome little cool pedal. Please buy one before they stop making them. And a Voice Live TC, a TC Helicon Voice Live 3, which is a bit more expensive, but super, super cool.
Awesome. Let's see what we got. We've got Glenn B from, and you'll probably be able to tell me, Arbroath or Arbroath, UK.
In Scotland.
Scotland. That's my terrible impression.
My word. That was a tremendous Scottish accent. Please come to Scotland and do that everywhere.
That's as much as you're going to get, I think, today. Do you get writer's block when songwriting? And if so, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So it's always, my experience is just insecurity. So I just feel like everything I write is crap. And any idea that I might have, as soon as I actually make it into a thing, make it real, I hate it. So that's generally what causes me to have writer's block when I feel like that. But a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people they can't think of anything to do. And there's loads of tricks. There's loads and loads of tricks that you can do. So there's loads of tricks that professional songwriters use to come up with melodies. For example, melodies tend to be the hardest thing for people usually, because it just seems like something you should just come up with kind of naturally somehow. There's loads and loads of tricks for that. So people have tricks like, for example, think of a song that they like. Now, often we don't realize that what we like about a song, what we like about the rhythm, isn't the pitches. It's actually the rhythm of the melody. It's the rhythm of the notes. So take those words from that song. So maybe you could, like a bat out of hell, I'll be gone when the morning comes, because
may he rest in peace.
R.I.P. And just instead of take the words and like a bat out of hell, you've got to do in the rhythm. Like a bat out of hell, I'll be gone when the morning comes. That's really groovy melody.
Yeah.
There's loads of offbeats. Okay, you can tell that's written by a songwriter. He's not come up with that by accident. You can now steal that rhythm. You can completely change the melody. It's a new song.
That's some great advice that I never considered.
Loads of stuff like that. So there's loads of tricks, and there's play another melody backwards. Paul Simon is somebody who says that he's never written a song from scratch, ever.
Yeah.
He's always started with another idea. He'll even kind of plagiarize his own songs, his old songs, to come up with a starting point. And once he's got that starting point, then things can start to flow, So, just cheat. It's what.
Yeah, what I tend to do when I try to write songs, what I tend to do is I will make up the dumbest song ever about something I'm either seeing or doing. Like I'll be like,
"Oh, do you? You write for Justin Bieber?" No, I'm joking. I actually like his new stuff.
It's actually really good.
Joke. I apologize.
But it's
I apologize. I respect his.
It was an easy, low-hanging fruit joke. We get it. But sometimes I'll be like, drinking myself some sparkling water, and it's obviously the dumbest thing in the world. But then I'll take what I just like, and this is what Paul McCartney did, because Yesterday started out as scrambled eggs, and he's not going to make a song called Scrambled Eggs, so he's changing
one called Glass Onion. It's not that far off.
Or Octopus's Garden.
Yeah.
What's funny to me is I wonder if Octopus's Garden started as Octopus's Garden or it actually became that.
I love that. I love whenever Ringo sings, I'm there.
Whatever Ringo sings.
Yeah, I love it when Ringo breaks out the vocals. This is kind of the Scouse accent from the 1960s. It's not quite like your modern Scouse accent. It's the best I can do. That's my best Beatles impression.
What's his name? Why can't I can't think of his name, but from Spaced and all the Cornetto trilogy movies, Simon Pegg does he says, when you gotta do Paul, you do it like this.
Oh, that's really good. That's nice.
John Lennon I love it. Because you got Paul McCartney, John Lennon is more like this.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really good.
and then George Harrison's kind of at the side of your mouth, and then like Ringo's kind of tough. It's like, well, if I'm
You
gonna
gotta
be
have you just gotta have a big enough voice box just to get down there.
yeah, it's
So
just
do you know what
Ringo.
he's most famous? No, he's most famous in this country being in the Beatles, but he's also very famous in the UK for being the voice of an animated TV series. And this is
Thomas the
back
Tank
in like
Engine.
exactly.
He was the conductor. Yeah,
He's
we had
so
George
famous.
Carlin.
No, he is just he narrates the entire thing. It's Ringo Starr, and
Yeah,
it's
they've had a
so
few
funny.
conductors. They've had George Carlin was the American version. Ringo Starr,
Really,
the British
George
version.
Carlin? That's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah. But on that show, he did not say the 7 words you can't say on television, of course.
I don't know what they are. I don't.
Yeah, sorry for getting on that tangent about impressions and Thomas the Tank Engine, everybody.
Awesome. Right now, I'm really into Centaur World
Oh,
on
I wanted to
Netflix.
watch that. It looks
Oh
really
my god,
good.
it's mind blowing. It's
Is it
so
really that great?
surreal. It's so good. It's so good.
I love surreal animation.
Like an acid trip. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I was hooked
There's a
on the
guy who
trailer.
talks to his farts talk to him, but not only that, he thinks that his farts are his father.
Oh,
I
you've got
can't
me
even
hooked. It
explain
sounds
it.
so ridiculous,
It's
but I think I'm
so
gonna.
weird. It's amazing. I love
I
it.
can't wait.
It's kind of weirdly deep as well.
That's the best. Like BoJack Horseman is the most ridiculous show ever. It's as far as the pitch,
I
but
haven't
it's
watched that yet, but yeah, I should try it. That's not for kids though, right?
not even remotely. But it is.
Yeah.
arguably
You see, I've
one
got a
of the best.
5-year-old, so I don't get to watch much TV that's for grown-ups anymore.
I understand. I understand that completely. I had little brothers that I could only for a while watch little stuff. But anyway, on to other questions. This is a bit vague. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this name for fear of insulting, but some guy named, we'll call him Lou from Slovakia says, what's your dream guitar, or just what is your dream? Like, do you want to play on a stage
Oh, that's
somewhere?
lovely. Thanks, Lou. I can't. I don't have it written down either. Otherwise, I would attempt to.
I don't know if it's Ludek, Ludik, Ludai.
Ludek. Yeah, Ludek.
I just didn't know with that accent if it was something else.
Ludek or something. Yeah. So that would be Ludek, I think. So Ludek. So my dream guitar is this one because this came from my dreams. I drew this. We started out literally like the cliched story where it was a piece of paper and me drawing concept body shapes, and this is roughly the kind of thing that I was drawing. It's not exactly the same because you can't make what I drew. It wouldn't be the physics wouldn't work. But I drew the headstock for this, for example, and they said, "Oh, you won't be able to design the headstock. It's the one thing, John, you won't be able to do because it's really important for us, Ibanez, that our headstock shape is like our silhouette that everybody recognizes." But I designed one anyway, just because I had this idea for it, which was kind of inspired by the electric guitar Ibanez shape with the swoop at the top, but kind of toned down a little bit, so it's a bit more kind of acoustic. And I don't know what word to use, but it's a little bit more. It's just not. You wouldn't want like a proper pointy. Anyway, what am I saying? So I drew this, so it literally came from my dream. So this is my dream guitar. And in terms of what my dreams are, I don't really think about the future or the past or the present. So I don't really have any dreams. I can tell you what my actual dreams are that I dream at night, but they're quite weird, and I don't think I should talk about them on a public stream.
We'll save that for the next episode.
Okay.
So this one comes from Stacy C from Peterborough, UK. How do you look after your fingers? They must take some abuse.
Oh, dude. So Stacy, it's like I do. Oh, do you know what? I haven't done this for a couple of days. So I do this kind of yoga for my fingers. I can't stretch as far as I used to be able to when I was young.
I got a snap out of one.
But it can still stretch. But so I do stretches like this. And I do, and I do stretches like this, and the thumbs, it's really important. Just the only thing I would tell you with stretching is you always stretch until you feel the stretch, never until you feel pain. Okay, if you feel actual pain, like ouch, you're going way too far. Okay, and there's other exercises as well that you can do, like for example, so. You might not know this, your fingers don't have any muscles inside them, it's just tendons. All the muscles are in the palms of your hands, and obviously your arms do a lot of work as well. But when you do this grip motion, which you're always doing when you play guitar, you very rarely do you very rarely push with the fingers like outwards. You're never really pushing. You're always squeezing. You're either plucking the strings or pressing the frets down or holding a plectrum. So you need to exercise the back of your hands. Otherwise, you get like, you know, those guys who are really hench. There's so many of them these days, but they do like the bicep curl, and as a result, their biceps are huge, but they can never actually straighten their arms fully anymore.
Right, they have that permanent this walk.
Yeah, so it's like they're always slightly bent on their arms, and you can have the same problem with your fingers always being a little bit like clawed like this when they're relaxed. So what you need to do is exercise these muscles in the back, which are much smaller. So you can do that by kind of doing as if you're going to flick something. Just push against your thumb with each finger like that. And then because you're doing this with your thumb, make sure you also do your thumb. So get your thumb and push your thumb against your fingers. So you're stretching your thumb backwards as well. Not stretching, but pushing. So you're exercising
anyone tuning in is going to be so confused what the hell I'm doing. They're just going to be like, why is this guy playing with his hands so weird?
It's really, really important to look after your hands and your fingers. And also, don't use those kind of hand strengthening devices. I'm sorry if you sell those, Ben. You probably do. But my advice is to avoid those because you're just making a problem, which is that you're constantly gripping. You're making that worse. You don't need to be able to grip really, really hard. If there's something that you can't play, it's because your technique isn't good. It's not because you're not strong enough. You know, as a guitar teacher in the past, I've taught. Well, my daughter's 5 years old and she can fret, but she can fret notes with not with no problem. She's 5, but you know, the strength isn't an issue. You just got to get your guitar set up right, get your technique right. You know, you don't need to be stronger. Trust me.
All right. I mean, also I've now got to do that because I just started hitting the gym again because everyone does the New Year's resolution thing. Okay. So now I'm going to make sure I don't look. I'm not turning into John Cena anytime soon. So I'll probably be fine. But I definitely don't want this look when I walk everywhere. Like, hi, I'm Ben Ash from Sam Ash Music. Pleasure to meet you. Like, I don't need that in my life.
I love a henchman or a henchwoman. I don't care.
Person. It's 2022.
Person. Yeah, sorry, I'm limiting the genders. No, I fully love all hench or skinny people like me, or you know, big
all body shapes,
little thin people. I love you all.
As long as you're happy, you can look however you want.
I don't care. Yeah.
So,
human body is beautiful. Let's go down that route. No, I don't know. I have strong opinions about such things.
Oh, dude.
Healthy. And don't judge people from the way they look. They could still be way healthier than you, even though you think they're not.
Everybody is good as long as everybody is happy. So, this is even one I'm very curious about. Not that I wasn't curious about those other questions, people, but this one, even I'm very curious. Luke B from Melbourne. I learned it's Melbourne, not Melbourne. Melbourne, Australia. Who are your favorite percussive players in the game that are current/upcoming? Has there been anyone you've stumbled upon?
Damn, I'm really bad at remembering names, but there's people that I know that I love. So Alexander Misko, who's
I was gonna say he's a beast.
He has slept in this very room.
No kidding.
Yeah. So he's I've known him since, I guess, before anybody really heard of him. I don't know when his YouTube thing started, but he's somebody who the first time I met him, he cried. He burst into tears just immediately meeting me, and then I played that night or whatever it was, and then he burst into tears again. He's just a really emotional guy, and he's a really kind of, you know, he's really, really appreciative of my music, but not just mine. He's got loads of influences. But I love Alex. His playing he's a mutant. He's
I've seen him. I mean, he's the guy that if you were the YouTube percussive player, he's the Instagram, TikTok percussive player, it seems. Like
I think so, yeah. Yeah, there's him and also Marcin Patrzalek from Poland, who's absolutely amazing. Again, he's somebody that he once won a competition that I ran on my Facebook to win some pickups from me before he was, you know, had any kind of big. He was a big superstar, and his technique is like out of this world. And then my peers. There's Andy McKee and Thomas Lieb and Mike Dawes and
Mike Dawes is a good buddy of mine. He's ridiculous.
Oh, I'm so sorry. He's such a great guitar
Hear that,
player.
Mike?
He's a terrible man. Terrible, terrible man. It's the smell more than anything, Ben.
I know.
But as long as you're prepared
for
it.
Like that hair? What's with the hair?
So he removes the hair to wash it separately, but only once a year.
Yeah, I wear it when he's not wearing it.
Right. Anyway, I've known again Mike since he was a little kid, and he came to my gig in Bath, where he was at a city called Bath in the UK, and he was at Bath University studying music, and he would come to my gigs, and he was just this little kid, and he was he wasn't that little really. I guess he was 20 or something, and now he's just a monster player, and I'm really proud of him. I don't really have any right to be, I guess, but I'm just really, really proud of Mike, and he's actually a really nice guy and a really great person, and really I've watched his journey, which has not always been smooth and easy. He's had issues, and the way he's overcome those, like both injury issues and like other stuff, and he's just like always he just never kind of quits, and as a result of that, we are blessed with his amazing music. So, and there's a guy called Thomas Lieb who not everybody's heard of, who's the same age as me, and he's from Austria but lives in LA. So it's Thomas Lieb is Leeb, and he is. If somebody says who's the best acoustic guitar player, or who's your favorite acoustic guitar player in the world, it's just Thomas. It's just not even. He's just a god to me, and
that's saying
so many of his ideas. He's just the most amazing musician, and his guitar playing is just, it's like so groove laden, it's so melodic, it's so technical, yet it's all just about groove and harmony and melody, and he's spectacular, yet he's amazing, and he's also one of my best friends. But that's because I was in love with his music and got to meet him, and we became good friends. So, I'm not just saying that because we're friends. It was the music that came first.
That's fantastic. And now I've got another person to listen to. So thank you for
you're not going to regret it, man.
Yeah, I can't wait. So this one comes from Lucas V from Mount Vernon, New York. Do you feel social media helps or discourages guitar players?
I don't know, really. It depends what you mean. If you mean like people starting out and wanting to learn, I can't really speak to that, because when I learned, there wasn't any. I think it's a funny thing, because I think that if there was YouTube when I was a kid, I would have learned so many all the questions that I wanted to ask. There were so many. I thought I invented the pentatonic scale when I was about.
Wait, you didn't? 9. That article was a lie?
Yeah, my Wikipedia page is not true. But anyway, yeah, I honestly, I was learning these blues licks, and I had classical guitar lessons before that, for years. So I knew about scales, and I thought, oh wow, you can fit all these licks; they all fit into like this scale, and I was like, just for a second, I was like, wow, wait till people hear about this, But it's the information wasn't there, and you just had to figure out stuff. Even later. I had to figure out stuff by ear, by like Michael Hedges and stuff. To get Michael Hedges' transcription book, I had to get it on special order from a bookstore, and it was really tough.
Can't even imagine just figuring it out by ear, let alone.
Well, I didn't get it right. I could play it, and it sounded a bit like it. It sounded like it. To the untrained ear, it would sound exactly like it, but to
and that's depending on what he was.
Trained ear, it didn't.
Like, what's the tuning even? Did he use a capo? Because you're only hearing audio.
So you have to. It's a really long process of elimination to work out a tuning for something like that. But yeah, so it's definitely a massive advantage in that way. But then I also think if the internet existed when I was a kid, would I play guitar at all? I would find it intimidating, certainly, and also I'd waste so much time using it, especially social media. I don't know, man. And also, maybe I would play and learn stuff. It was actually Mike, who we were just talking about, who said something to me once that stuck in my head years ago. He said, the thing is about people learning online now is that they learn what they want, not what they need. And that was a really insightful thing. It's, you don't eat your greens. So when I was a kid, it was like I just had to practice scales, and that's it. You just learn your effing scales. But these days, if you kind of just want to go straight for the juicy stuff and the cool stuff that you want to learn, then you can. But back then, my teacher would be like, nope, we're not doing that until we did this, So maybe it can be a disadvantage in that way too.
Yeah, it's funny because I went to a guitar camp, and it was very metal focused. And I'm listening to people shred. They're like, and at the end of one of these nights of the camp, there was a jam, and they're like, all right, let's sit in. And so a lot of people are like, let's do some Dream Theater, or let's just do some of this or that. And I'm like, why don't we just do Red House? Why don't we do one of those? And what's funny is every time we did some bluesy jam or something else, they still wanted to do the, but they didn't know how
Okay,
to
sure.
feel. They didn't know that, like, just to hold a note. So it's more to your point where I'm saying that people want so bad to learn what they want. So there are these people who learn that Dream Theater speed metal type stuff, but that's all they can do. And so when they haven't diversified their lexicon and portfolio that is guitar playing, they get stuck in a rut. And so, yeah, you can do that thing when it's appropriate, but if you want to sit in on any session, they're going to fire you. That's like why the greatest session guitarists of all time, you hire them and they're like, oh, we're going to do a blues in F, great. Oh, we're going to do alt rock in C sharp, great. And the groove always works and it always sounds good, and they can do it.
It's about
right
the foundations of your playing as well, and just your understanding of music. If you're playing a video game and you start on level 10, you maybe you can do it and you're fine, you'll be okay. But at some point, something that you should know when you get to level 12 that you should have learned earlier on, you're not going to know it and you're going to die, in the game. And it's the same with guitar playing. It's like if you don't know those, if you just go straight for Dream Theater, well, actually, that's not what John Petrucci probably did. I don't actually know that much about John Petrucci exactly, except that.
Oh no, he's a guy that I've taken his quote unquote master class. That dude is like you're saying. He was just doing rudiments, do 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 do, then do 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 do. He did exactly what you're saying. He broke it down from the simplest thing, and when he was flawless,
well, he had a great teacher. I forgot he had Joe Satriani. Holy crap!
Back to the Joe
lucky
thing.
guy. So it's yeah. So he probably did learn some basics of something, and it's about knowing the roots. So it's something that I take very, very seriously. I think it's from growing up listening to blues and learning about where blues comes from in terms of the history of it and the kind of, how much suffering went into why that music exists. And that made me, from knowing about that as a kid, that made me really, really respect roots of music. Even though I'm very progressive, to me, there's no kind of like conflict between those two ideas. So for me, when I heard Michael Hedges, I wanted to know, where does that come from? Where does his sound come from? And there are guitarists that I can hear inside his playing. And since over the years, talking to people who knew him well, it's like, okay, I know where his playing comes from. So Joni Mitchell is a really, really, really important acoustic guitarist in the history of contemporary acoustic guitar, and people might not think of her like that, but she invented so many of the things that Hedges was doing.
She is by the way, for those that don't even know who Joni Mitchell is, shame on you, first off. Second of all, she is such a talent, songwriting wise, but her guitar playing isn't like, you're not going to be necessarily blown away by like finger tapping type stuff, but
no, nothing like that. No,
approached it so differently at the time.
I'll tell you one thing that's very, very cool that I directly do. So Joni Mitchell was, a musician who played piano really well and stuff. But when she plays guitar in different tunings, she'd play in completely wild tunings.
Right.
And she didn't know what the notes were tuned to, which sounds weird, but she would just write down, like she would know what the bottom string was, and then she would just go, okay, so I call the next string 7. So I need to go to the 7th fret, and then 7 again. Now 5. So whatever fret you need to go to get the next string in tune, she would just call her tunings like 7, 7, 5, 2, 5, or whatever. And the reason that she did that, I believe, although I've not been able to find information to prove this, is that she wanted to be lost on the instrument and just use it as a kind of sonic creative tool. And I do that all the time, where I don't want to know where I am on the guitar. So I have like a jazz degree. I went to like the Guitar Institute. I know all the scales. If you give me a guitar in standard tuning, I can play you some low quality fusion shred for hours.
Sure.
But to me, that's very, very boring to do. So when I tune my guitar into a different tuning, suddenly I'm totally lost. And that's a massive advantage in a lot of ways. So I can no longer noodle, which might in itself be an advantage, but all the sounds that I know, whether it's Lydian or Phrygian dominant or like going from one chord to another chord change that I like, I can still hear those when I play them. and I can still tell if it's something that I like or don't, and my ear can still find those weird harmonies, and it just means that I'm not writing with my fingers. I'm not writing. My music isn't going to hopefully sound like it was written, with just a scale pattern anywhere near it.
Yeah, but look, it's as long as you like what you're doing, it doesn't ultimately matter how you do it.
No,
And then if it sounds good to everyone else, it's a bonus.
Absolutely, but also, if somebody out there has never played in a different tuning and they're scared to do it because they think they'll forget everything that they know, it's like, well, that's why. So just give it a try. Just try it and see what happens, because you might compose something that you would never have believed that you were capable of composing. Because you were so limited by just the map of dots that you can see on a standard tuned guitar.
It's actually a lot of fun because now that you have this skill set of a guitarist, you're now approaching songwriting in a sense a different way, and even you start hearing, because remember, you can only play certain chords on a standard tuning guitar because of the way your fingers can be placed. Once you do these kind of new tunings, you open up a wide range of inversions you would have never been able to physically do in the past. So I highly recommend it. I've actually have some covers I do that incorporate, like I have one I do of a Sonic Youth tune, which granted they tune in the weirdest ways, but I created a tuning so I could play one of their songs using a capo, and it's I would have otherwise never done it, or I would have come up with the most boring version of the cover. So
that's so cool, man. That is so cool. That's really, really exciting. How exciting does it feel to play that and
oh yeah,
I bet, because you're getting like this sound. You're not just playing the song. You're capturing something of the sound of the original song, not just the correct notes, but the sound of it that you hear. That otherwise you wouldn't be able to capture it. And that's exactly when people hear all these fingerstyle covers of like famous pop tunes and stuff that are all over YouTube these days. It's like when they're in a different tuning, and that enables people to play the stuff and capture the atmosphere of the original song in a way that they wouldn't be able to do in standard tuning. Yeah, for sure.
So here's one from my buddy Kyle. Kyle from Astoria, New York says, "What do you do to minimize setup time for live performances and sound good regardless of the room you're in?"
Yeah, it's an incredibly boring question, Kyle, but actually a really, really important one.
Sorry, Kyle.
No, I've just
boring.
I'm just messing with you, Kyle. But it is really, really important. So yeah, I think about that a lot. I'm always trying to make my rig simpler, not more complicated. So basically, I have this. My pedal board is like, I have all the stuff on it that I told you. It's all on the board, and then all I have to do is my guitar cables are plugged into my pedals, and I just can coil them over the top, and just so all I have to do is plug my guitar in. I have like a in-ear monitor system that comes straight out of the TC Helicon Voice Live, because you can do that with it, and that trails up. So I also have like a little headphone cable trailing up my guitar cables as well, and so I have my monitors already ready, and then all the sound engineer has to do is take 4 cables and plug them into my board. I'll just show him where to do that, and that'll give him stereo vocal and stereo guitar. And I have to plug it into the mains to the electricity as well. That's it, and it's so quick. Oh, and I have to plug in my mic as well and put it on a stand, and that is it. So my setup time is like 5 minutes, and then that leaves you with more time for the sound check, ideally, but hopefully it cuts things down. So yeah, so it's really, really portable, and I really, really like that. And then you can add in a little amp like this. It's just, if you want to use it as a monitor or use that as your PA system or whatever you're doing with it, it's not really a big deal. So it's it's super fast. So just having everything on my board there, wired up, cables already plugged in, everything kind of, all my cables are attached to the board with like cable ties and stuff, so that nothing's going to get pulled in or pulled out of so yeah, that's how I do it.
There you go, Kyle. And last question we got from the contest entries was, simply put, what song is your favorite to play? Whether it's your own, whether it's someone else's, what's one that you get anxious to play live?
Okay, so on the last tour, I've been playing a song that was written by a friend of mine who unfortunately took his own life a few years ago, and he was a songwriter, and he was my best friend, and so I've been playing his song, and I played it at the end of every gig. I did like an encore, and so for the encore I would play Passion Flower, which is my kind of most famous song, and always a wonderful experience to play live because people know it. People sing the guitar solo in the intro, and
That's amazing.
it makes me really happy, and people love it. When I know it sounds terrible. I appreciate the fact that people love that song, and I feel very, very, very grateful. And people,
It means you
have
may
the lyrics tattooed on
you
and stuff. And
you
it
don't
makes
have
me
to be
very,
humble about
I
that.
really appreciate that. I don't know. It's funny. I didn't appreciate it for a long time. Or I did in my, in theory, but in terms of letting myself feel it, it took me until really last year to let myself actually feel, wow, that actually really matters to people, and that's really amazing. But I don't feel like, oh yeah, I did that. Yeah, that's me. I don't feel like that, but I do feel very, very grateful and lucky. But then when I played my friend's song, it's called Song for a Rainy Day, what I'll do is I'll unplug my guitar and walk out into the audience and just play my friend Johnny Walker's song for everybody. And that's been really amazing and really helped me. A lot of my songs are written kind of to help me deal with stuff. And in this case, it's not my song, it's Johnny's song. I'm playing it to help me deal with, losing him. So it's, that's been my favorite to play recently. Yeah, there you go.
Well, that's wonderful and touching, honestly. That's really nice to hear.
Thanks.
So I just want to make sure I know we got some questions in the chat. I believe I just want to make sure because I know I've taken up an hour and a half of your time, so I'm very grateful you haven't been like, Ben, I'm sick of this. Please stop.
No, it's cool if there's anybody still watching. But I'm sure there is.
We've had 40 people sticking around this entire time, plus or minus. So that's incredible, and we'll have people stick around after the fact. I'm sure. So let me just see. Oh, my friend Kyle says, quote, "Tell John we can hash it out. How boring it is on the mountain, he'll know."
Everything goes down on the mountain.
I guess
Everything
that's
goes
an
down on
joke.
the mountain. Oh, Kyle. I forgot his surname, but yeah, I know who that is now as well. Yeah.
Kyle Horn.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
you know
Kyle.
Kyle. Okay.
Yeah, he spends most of his time on the mountain asleep, though. Yeah, so the mountain is. I'm not even going to say where it is. It's just a mountain that people go to sometimes with acoustic guitars.
Oh, fun.
And we all play.
So Diane just wanted us to mention that she may be your oldest fan at the age of 79.
Okay.
Not sure.
Well, actually, that's not true, but you still are a ripe old age, and I am very grateful to have you. Sorry, what's the name again? Catherine.
Diane.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Hey,
Diane.
Someone's just curious. What school did you go to?
It's a really weird question. Trying to get,
maybe they know you. I don't know.
Steal my identity.
Oh, that's I don't know. I'm just finding anything that has a question.
That's really weird.
I don't know.
I should tell you, I went to Leeds College of Music, now known as Leeds Conservatoire, and I'm actually going there on Thursday to do a masterclass, which is very, very cool.
Very cool.
So yeah, that's where I studied jazz. And before that, I went to the Guitar Institute in London, which is, I can't remember. It keeps changing its name. I think it's called the Guitar Institute again now, or just the Institute. And yeah, it was amazing. It was basically like living inside a guitar magazine. It was just incredible. Man, I loved it. But there was no acoustic guitar element whatsoever, actually. It was all electric guitar. So
this is actually a question I can't believe we didn't discuss. What is your string preference? Do you have a brand? Do you have a gauge? Do you have...
Yeah, I use super heavy strings. So actually, I've tuned that really high now by my standards, but that's actually a really high note by my standards. But so yeah, this is I have a 68 on the bottom, if you can believe that, and a 14 on the top. So they're really, really heavy strings, and I tune low. So they're heavy, but not so tight. You know, they're still pretty loose. But they're actually my signature strings, which you get from a company called Newtone, and they're very different to your kind of standard strings because they are hand wound on a round core instead of the hex core thing. They have a round core like in the olden days. And,
right.
Yeah, so they're hand wound, so they have quite a different sound. They're much warmer, and they have more overtones because there's more metal inside the strings. There's no gaps where you get with the hex chord thing, and yeah, so they're not kind of coated strings or anything like that. They're very, very old fashioned, almost like piano strings really that you put on guitar, but they are incredible quality. And yeah, they're made by Newtone in Derbyshire in the hills in England, and you can get your John Gomm signature Newtone strings from I don't know where from. I
Oh,
don't
you
know
got signature strings.
who
That's
sells
awesome.
them. I doubt that they are in Sam Ash, but it would be amazing if they were. They would very, very much love to be. They do make pretty special strings. So yeah.
It could easily be done, I'm sure. So we'll
The
definitely have
only
that.
other hand maker that I know of is in the States, which is John Pierce strings.
Okay.
I don't know many hand makers of strings where they're hand wound.
Yeah, we have John Pierce for sure.
Yeah, so it's a different thing. The strings feel quite different, and people might not like them at first. Just give them a chance, because the modern string has a really zingy sound that people associate with a new string, and then when the strings start to get dull, they go, okay, I'm going to throw those away now and change them. Whereas hand-wound strings with round chords often don't have that ziggy sound, or they lose it within a day, and then they have this kind of different sound, but they're not worn out. You can tell when they're worn out still, the same as with regular strings, but they don't have that kind of super zingy treble.
Right.
So it's a different sound.
All right. Well, I think we covered a lot of ground, truly.
Yeah, man.
Before we go, first, it is promised that we were gonna do pick a giveaway winner. So,
shoot, yeah.
First and foremost, let's show that this is what we're giving away. We're giving away this bad boy, this beautiful blonde version.
Yeah, but it's blonde, yeah.
So it's same
glitzy,
same exact guitar amp, just a different color.
Yeah.
So someone's gonna win that. Keep in mind if it's too much, both feature set wise or money wise, we also offer the acoustic core 30 watt. It's a little smaller. It's got that peg that you can also put on a mic stand. Very similar. I mean, if you just need an acoustic amp, this also works as an audio interface, which is great. I have the ID Core, which is the electric guitar version. Highly recommend it. And if you still think that's too much and you just want something to gig around with, we have the Fly 3. I don't know why we have the black color for the feature. That's something I got to fix. But little adorable portable amp. So if you want to just play some...
Oh, you know what? I do have one of those. It's really good, yeah.
Yeah, they're great. I've got the Fly Electrics. Like, basically, I have the electric equivalent of almost everything.
You know what? I also have my daughter, my 5-year-old, who now has an Ibanez PGM Micro Paul Gilbert. Oh, she loves it so much. And she also has a Blackstar Core. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's a little practice amp, and it sounds amazing, And it's got what's really awesome about it. So those the little amps that they make, I think it's that. I can't remember because this isn't really my wheelhouse. Those amps, it's a separate thing. But what I love about them,
the Flies,
is when you stick on the reverb, they have this weird. I don't know how they do it, but it sounds really stereo.
Oh, the
so when
stereo
you're in front of the amp, it's like it's really wide. I don't
nuts.
know how it's possible.
I
don't
love
know
it.
What they do, but it's
I
magic.
have because I have the extension thing, so you have them on the sides, and sometimes I'll use it just to like noodle around with ideas, and it's a blast. But I've been using that.
It really sounds huge. It's like really fun to play through. Yeah. Just in a little amp. I don't know how.
This has been right now my go-to amp. This thing. This is the electric ID Core. This is the version 3.
Yeah, my daughter has that for her electric guitar, but she has the really much older version. Yeah.
Like, let me just show you. This is how big it is. This thing is loud. This thing will break a house down. It'll just destroy it. And it's awesome, and it's got a lot of features, and it's an interface. Figured why not?
What you can get now, it's so great. This is another thing about forget like the social media. It's like you should have seen the guitar that I played when I was a kid. It was so difficult to play. It was so shit. And my first amp that I had. Oh God, it was awful.
Tech's gotten so much better, man. It's gotten so much better. But let's get to what's exciting. So that is not the thing we're giving away. I don't know why I have that.
Let's choose a winner.
So
you're winners for being here. Thank you very much.
I will say this to the people at home. This is only for winners in the States. I am sure John will do a Blackstar event for a dealer in the UK, in which case they
Okay,
can.
we'll figure that out. Well,
Unless
hopefully Blackstar are
Blackstar,
watching, and I'll ask them to do that. We'll figure it out.
right? Unless Blackstar's like, you know what? We'll figure this out. We'll ship it to them from our European distribution. So,
Oh, if Blackstar is shipping it, it shouldn't matter if you're not shipping
right.
it.
So,
Yeah, they should be able to ship it in the. It won't
I'm
make any
just
difference.
stipulating this on normally as a company we do only U.S. residents, but if Blackstar is fulfilling it, I guess it's up for anybody. I mean, a lot of you from
Yeah,
the
that'll
UK
be fine.
and
I'm
overseas
just
have
gonna
actually,
say that's okay. Okay.
there you
And
go.
then
John's
they can
giving the
kick
approval.
my ass.
Yeah, there. So
Okay.
John's taking. I'm throwing
Sorry,
John
Joel.
under the bus. It's all John's fault if anything.
Yeah, I
Gets
can take
upset.
that. I don't mind. I'm always apologizing. You've got no idea.
Okay, so let's do a live draw. I didn't mean to choose a draw winner because this is the. Here we go. We got a countdown.
Oh,
Can you do a drum roll on your guitar at the 3-second mark? All right. And the winner, Sonnet 16 in blonde, regardless of where you live, goes to Steve R from Angola, Indiana. Congratulations, Steve R. Come on down. Da-da-da-da-da-da. That's
Angola. I totally thought you were going to say it was from Angola in like Africa.
That's what I was thinking for a second. I was like, I hope that's
like, oh, I
that's
can't
an
believe
IN
you
after
said
that.
you'll send it anywhere. That's going to be really expensive. Oh,
So
no.
congrats, Steve. You just won this. We have your info. We will email you just to make sure that you legitimately entered and that you're a human being and no one stole your identity. And Blackstar, I'm assuming, will be sending the amplifier to you. So with that being said, first of all, John, thank you so much for doing this. This was so awesome to talk to one of my guitar
it went
heroes.
really well. My gear. I'm sorry, I know you had tech issues, but I've been really trying to get streaming stuff sounding and looking good just so that I can do.
Dude, this sounded incredible. This was fun.
My lighting's okay. I don't really know. I'm doing my best.
Dude, you look great. This is always a learning process. So
yeah,
I mean, I thankfully
are having to learn new stuff, you know.
So seriously though, this was awesome. Before we go, two things. One, you got anything to plug, anything to share, anything to tell anybody? Where should they find you on social media? Are you going on tour?
So I've just done my UK tour and I'm trying to book some more. It's still really, really, really hard to book stuff. So I'm working on it. So yeah, there's always stuff happening gig wise. So keep an eye out for that. But my website is jongomm.com. The next thing I've got some videos to release. So my last album is called The Faintest Idea, and there's 3 songs left that I haven't made videos for yet, and they're really nice ones, and it's really important that I do that. So those are going to be, we're going to release the first one of those 3 really, really soon, and yeah, so there's more videos coming out really soon, and including the one of the song that I told you about by my best friend. So that's going to be really amazing to release a video for that, because I don't know, it's the thing of being YouTube generation or kind of internet generation guitarist, which I guess I pretty much am. Until something exists in video form on YouTube, to me it's not quite been released yet. So yeah, so that's a really big deal thing that I'm doing now, and then after that, I don't know, man. I have some really fun musical ideas that I've been working on, which will be my next project. So
fantastic.
I don't want to give it away.
And by the way, if you want to find him on social media, but you don't want to type or anything, all the posts that we've done, we've tagged John. So if you go on Facebook, you can check out John's stuff. If you go on YouTube, I believe we tagged him on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. He's all over the place. He's putting out music. He's super talented and also very charming and very friendly. So as you can see, Joe's saying now we want Ben with a mohawk. The best you're going to get is a reverse mohawk where it grows on the outside but not in the middle.
I'm the opposite. If I tried to grow the whole lot, that would just be bald at the sides. So it's just, I'm in the same. I'm just growing the last bit that I've got.
I'll take your mohawk. You take my hair. Fair deal? Something tells me, though, I think I get the better end of that deal.
No, you're not having... No, sorry. I love this little guy. I call it my tuft. It's my tuft. It's like a bit of grass that they would, like a golfer would use for teeing off at the start, I think. It's what it is.
Exactly.
I've never played golf, so I don't know.
All right, so I guess last but not least, John, if you wouldn't mind playing us off,
Yeah,
and then I'll end the stream.
I'll just keep going, man, and you leave it rolling or not. I'm going to put all my effects on as well.
All right, so on that note, thank you everyone for tuning in. If you're a Sam Ash customer, thank you. If not yet, we hope to see you soon. And until next time, take care and have a wonderful day. And here's John Gomm playing.
Afraid of the dark.